Anyway, welcome to the podcast.
The three of you guys.
I am Scott Phelps. I'm joined by Charlie Harcum
It's me, this guy.
and Shauna Fretwell. I like the championship belt in the background of Shauna's video.
I won that.
Very Shauna-esque.
Same.
So we're starting. Do you have a belt back there? You have a
Well, I won this trophy. So.
This is the first episode of a series on Stranger Things. We've all seen it up to season 3, right? We've seen everything. Season 4. Is it 4 seasons?
It's 4.
Seen everything.
We've all seen everything. I've already seen everything.
We've seen too much.
I know what you're doing. I'm gonna move on. But we're gonna go back and rewatch and go by episode. So today we're gonna be talking about episode 1, which I did not remember much from when I went back and rewatched it. I thought, okay, wait a minute. I knew the idea of it, but there's a lot that I wasn't thinking about.
You know what I wondered, and I'm thinking about it again. When did the first episode air?
I have no idea.
Somebody ask our producer.
Kevin, do you know when the first episode aired
Look it up.
of Stranger Things? Easy, Tiger. Do we got a Google guy?
I'm that guy.
We have a Google search. Thought it would be right here, but no.
I don't know. While y'all are figuring that out. So episode 1, Stranger Things, we're going to go through every episode up to season whatever is the latest one, 4, I believe. And then by that time, I believe season 5 will be out. So that should be exciting.
2016.
2016. Wonderful. I would first like to start off by saying there are some things in like, I took a few screenwriting classes in college, and there's a few things, I know, roll the eyes. There's a few things that are just like weird when you hit them on the nose. And I think you were talking about this right before we recorded. The Demogorgon, right? Of course, I don't know if they made that up or if that, but regardless, when they're leaving Will's or Mike's house, right? And Will was like, the dice land on 7. Does it count? And they're like, no, it didn't count. Lucas, he didn't see it. Move on. And then they go outside and Will's like, hey man, it landed on a 7. So I totally lost. But he says, the Demogorgon got me. And that feels like a little bit aggressive foreshadowing.
Oh, yeah.
2 minutes later, it's not like a later on in the episode. It's literally 2 minutes later. The Demogorgon gets it. And it's a little bit like...
Interestingly, when I watched it, I watched it with someone else, that first episode, and that's exactly what we talked about. I said, that is the definition of foreshadowing right there, but not even subtly.
It's too on the nose.
Like, you know what? I now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, it was. I didn't even pick up on it. I was thinking about some all other silly stuff going on.
I liked it. It was ominous. It was spooky. But I think it's because I was watching it through the lens of already knowing that that's what was going to happen.
Well, so I'm not trying to talk about myself, but when I was in a screenwriting class, I wrote a script. They gave us this prompt. The lead has to like kill himself, which felt aggressive, but
good grief.
I know. It was like, man, all right.
Wow.
So my script, you get to the last scene and they're hanging out in this barn, and one character was like, hey, I'm gonna head out. Do you want to go with me? And the guy that stays and he hangs himself. He's like, no, I'm gonna hang out here.
Oh,
and my professor circled it like a big circle and said, yikes. Like,
wow.
Ew. But I didn't know it when I wrote it. I realized, oh wait, that's terrible.
But why does the same person who came up with this prompt get to say yikes now? Yikes to the whole idea.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
You're going to assign this subject matter, and now all of a sudden you're clutching your pearls?
Yeah. Wait,
who wrote it? You wrote it?
I wrote it.
You wrote that line?
I did, but I didn't realize in the moment that was what I had
wrote. But maybe he
made a big circle.
Subliminally.
I thought
you're just that
hang the words in my head.
You're just on the nose that much with screenwriting.
Maybe.
Man, we should dig into your screenwriting.
Well, there are some terrible ones. The prompts on there were really. I have some really gross ones I can show you.
Do we have the counter going on that word, by the way? We're up to 3 prompts.
Oh, God.
I have a counter going. Prompts. That's the key word.
Okay.
Can we talk about the word Demogorgon yet?
Yeah,
Since
go ahead.
Brought
it's
it
not
up?
Demogorgon. It's Demogorgon.
Okay. That's twice you've corrected me on that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it right.
It's not Demi. It's
Demogorgon, like Demi Lovato.
Demo Gorgon.
Demogorgon.
G-A-N.
Demogorgon. Demogorgon. Okay. So, like I had said before, I don't think I realized that they made that word up. I thought Demogorgon was like whatever these things are. I thought it was a real name of what they were. And so when they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, I was like, whoa, what? How do you know what it's called?
That thing comes to life later on. You guys are going to be mind blown. That exact thing is real.
I was so caught off guard by that. I don't know if I just never picked up on it. I'm not going to go into Dungeons and Dragons, but man, we should have a separate, some kind of alternate episode.
I was about to ask y'all
about
played
Dungeons and Dragons.
I played in college and I thought it was the best. Granted, my ignorance, I think, made it that much better because I played with a group of people that did know about it. And I don't know, I thought it was great, but
I'm sure it was.
Well, I thought it was interesting. And this actually, Shauna, you might can answer this. This is sort of a question that I had.
A prompt, you might say. Go ahead.
4.
I wouldn't say it. Prompt. As a mom, though, you might can answer this because I don't know. I don't understand it. So when they, all right, Will's lost, and I don't know where they were at. By the way, Jonathan was asleep, or he said he was working late, and she was out of town or something. So neither of them were there when he came home.
She was working too.
Yeah, they're all working.
Okay, yeah. They were both
struggling
working.
Family.
And the next day, right? I wonder if that plays a part in this. The next day, to trying to figure out where's he at, and she calls, Mike's mom, who, by the way,
you've been playing for 10 hours.
She cute.
Mike's mom does something for me. I don't know what it is, man, but
okay,
nice.
Stick on that real quick. I'm not saying she does anything for me, but I remember thinking this woman is like a young mom, like it wasn't like the old school, like when they show a mom on TV and it's like
right.
Frumpy mom.
Okay, yeah.
I noticed that too, actually. She's gorgeous, and I do not remember that from the first time.
Yeah, me neither. And I hate the dad, by the way. Why is he such a weirdo?
Why is she with him? She could do so much better than him.
I have that written down. They don't go together at all.
He's useless too. He sits at the table.
Right.
She's like, come on, man.
What did I do? What did I do?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if something else not cool happens with him later. But
wait, to get back to my point. So
yeah.
She calls up, Mrs. Wheeler, and she's like, hey, is Will still there? Did I hear him? She's like, no, did he not come home? And she changes gears real quick, and she's like, oh, no, I think he left to go to school early.
Yep.
And then the next scene, it's not like she really thinks it, because the next scene, she's at the police station. So I'm wondering, like, is there a little bit of, like, embarrassment there? Like,
oh, totally. You don't know where your kid is. That's literally your number one job, is to know where your kid is. And she's a working mom. She's juggling a lot of things. And this one slipped through the cracks. And then, yeah, you would totally play that off. Because at that point, you don't know that he's gone.
I feel like, though, is there not a level of, like, my kid's gone? Okay, I'll be embarrassed.
Forget about embarrassment.
But like,
no, but you don't know at that point. Kids are kids; they do squirrely things, and so at this point, it's too early. For all she knows, he's fixing to come busting in the back door because he was out back dinking around. Like, she doesn't know. She's trying to be cool. She's trying not to freak herself out.
I don't know. All right. I mean, I just felt like, okay, that was weird.
If it were 2024, I think you'd probably freak out a lot faster.
There might be but to what we were saying about the family they definitely look like they're a struggling family. Dad's not there, whatever.
She's
And
probably already getting judged anyway.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There's probably already some history of, oh gosh, the
They're
Byers are at it again, and
Right.
No,
now
Mike's
she
mom
doesn't know
feels-
where her
She's got
kid
baby
is.
daddy drama.
She seems
and-
really nice though. Like she wouldn't be judging her for, like, sure, she seemed genuinely worried. Did he not come home?
Right.
Do we need to do something?
But she's probably like, that family's got it all put together, and here I am. I lost my kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I think it was just embarrassment.
all right. Fair enough. Well, what about so Hopper?
Love him.
He
He does for me what the mom does for me.
really?
Oh, I
Okay.
freaking love him.
even
Oh.
like the whole setup where he's got like this.
Yeah, I missed that whole.
It's
I
a
don't
little
remember
dramatic,
that.
I think.
Yes.
It's a little bit like
There's a lot of open beer cans in there.
they're like, oh, what can we put in this? You know.
The pill bottle.
Hashtag
tipped
I
over.
can fix him. I can fix him.
Oh man.
It
Yeah.
was a
Don't ever do
half-eaten
that.
ham sandwich or
I
something.
mean, what do you think? Okay, so you and Hopper go on a few dates and then you go to his house and that's what you walk in on. Does that change anything?
Oh, that's got to change something.
Yeah. No,
You would hope that he.
No, it's
prepared.
yeah, no, he's cute. You know what I mean? He's cute, but that doesn't mean you want to necessarily get neck deep in his situation.
Okay. Well. So what I was gonna say, it doesn't even pertain to him really. But he comes in the office, obviously small town, right? They don't normally have any issues. The secretary, I don't know what her name was, Deborah.
Flo.
Was it Flo?
It's Flo. I heard he keeps a diary and he mentions her name a lot. I've read a few pages of it.
Noted. Heard.
Yeah.
Flo. I wonder if this is in there. So she gives him the rundown, right? Hey, so blah blah blah. She mentioned, she's like, so, Jill called whoever, the kids are stealing her garden gnomes again.
Said some kids are stealing the gnomes out of his garden.
Oh, those garden gnomes again.
And he's like, okay, yeah, lost garden gnomes. Oh, also, in more sudden, urgent news, Joyce Byers, her son's missing.
On a more pressing matter, Joyce Byers can't find her son this morning.
Wait a minute. Wait, is that not the opening line? You have two things to report to me.
She was building up. She could tell he was a little hungover.
So what's our expectation level of Flo? Because my bar would be real low for her. She's going through the motions. She's never seen any different.
I mean, I feel like, you're setting him up to not care. Hey, so garden gnome's missing again. Joyce Byers' son is lost. Nothing crazy.
Can I get your lunch order?
Right. If it were like, hey, you're walking in the door, but you need to know someone's kid is missing. They called. I just feel like, I mean, I don't blame him for because he just blew it off. Like, whatever.
But again, I think it's that same idea that kids are kids. They do squirrely things. We just don't know yet that it's a full blown emergency. He's really gone.
Well, but she called the cops, so they have to treat it like, okay, well.
And it was probably, just to harken back to your screenwriter days, there's a little bit of exposition there, right? Like, we're reinforcing that nothing exciting happens in Hawkins, and something very significant is going to. But we want to make sure these are just plain folk.
Agreed.
This is where I would argue, though, you don't need to do that. I've already picked up on it.
Yeah.
That's quintessential, though. How many times have you seen that done? Small town, and
it's like, okay, I mean, him walking in and them joking and obviously nothing goes on. There's only two cops apart from him.
And they're playing cards.
Right. I can pick up on that. You don't need to tell me Jill, whoever's garden gnomes are missing again. I don't. Okay.
One other thing, real quick, pause right there. I want to go back to the Wheelers just super, super fast.
Yeah, please.
Okay, it's 1983. I may or may not have been around then.
I think it was 85.
good year.
Was it 85 or 80?
It's 83.
Okay.
Oh, I got notes. So it's a Monday morning. They're all sitting around the breakfast table, eating breakfast before they go to school.
Quiet.
Is that a reality? Dude,
Oh,
I mean, even in the 80s,
I wanted to ask that.
Actually, it could be. It can be. My kid, we totally did that with my kids when they were younger. And now that they're older and running all over the place, it's like, listen, here's a bagel.
Right.
Take it as you're going out the door.
But I guess Nancy, or what's the mom? Whatever mom, she's probably not working. So maybe that's just her thing too. Like,
she got time.
anyway, I just thought, oh, look at them sitting around the table and they're all dressed and ready to run out.
Oh yeah, I don't like it because it's a classic. I can't think of the movie I'm thinking of where they make this whole spread for breakfast.
Yeah.
The dad comes down. He's like, "Oh, I'm late." Grabs a piece of toast and bounces. And I'm like, "Wait a second.
Sir,
what are you gonna do with all of this now? What was the point of that?"
Actually, I'll take it a step further and say I don't think it's so weird that everybody sits down to eat real quick. I think it's what's on the table. If you're having oatmeal real fast, okay, I could believe we're going to sit down and have our oatmeal for 10 minutes together. But when you're talking about bacon and eggs and toast and pancakes, all right, be so for real.
There's always a stack of pancakes.
Right.
There's always the stack of pancakes.
I'm going to argue she definitely doesn't have a day job if she's got the time to get up.
If she does, she's super mom.
If she does,
she could be super mom either way.
Much better. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just saying.
She gets up at 3 a.m. to do her hair before she starts the pancakes.
Okay. Last thing on Hopper and his morning, he wakes up, he's late. Hopper's got a pad, or he's got a prime location. He walks out on that porch and he's on the river or the lake or whatever. He's got a bachelor pad there, so that was another check mark for him.
Oh, he's quintessential bachelor.
Oh yeah.
It's just he just needs to clean it up. But you hear later on that his daughter died, and so obviously
he's going through something. He's not just a gross person. He's grieving.
He's a broken man.
He never got past his grief.
We learned a lot of character building in the first 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really.
We're judging these families and individuals already. Okay, good.
We already have enough to say. All right. One, Steve, his whole situation, he's great, right? Cool dude. He's the cool guy, but I love Steve.
Yourself after.
I love Steve now, but Steve then, like the first episode and so on.
I'm trying to remember, when do we grow to not like Steve more? I mean, I know he's already he's maybe not an awesome guy, but I can't remember.
Episode 2 and 3 get into
he starts to redeem himself. He's so generic in the beginning.
Well, 2 and 3 is where he really leans into the douchebag.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to remember is when. What does he do that makes us be like, oh, come on, dude, for him to redeem himself?
And we don't want to get into too much of it. We don't want to act like we've already seen all of it. But the whole thing with Jonathan, and he kind of bullies him a little bit, and
a lot of it.
There's that.
I got a very specific note on Jonathan. Have y'all seen the movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yes.
No. And the character that Leonardo da Vinci DiCaprio. I'm good with names. Arnie.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan reminds me so much of Arnie.
That's fair. Yeah,
and I'm
that's fair. I could see that.
Is he pretended? In the beginning, I thought something was up with Jonathan. He's got a little extra chromosome or something.
Oh. Right.
Because I was thinking of Arnie.
He's off kilter. So,
yeah. We should check that movie out sometime down the road, Scott. Write that down.
As a movie person.
Write that down.
As a movie person, you can see that movie.
Well, I just feel like, Steve is brave because he just rolled up to her house after hearing she could and just chose a window. We're assuming he knows what window.
That's another one I wrote down. Did that really happen too? I never climbed in anybody's window, but it happens all the time in movies.
Right.
I never
wonder if it's are there people out there that were doing this, or
perhaps they considered there was no wrong answer because you either get Nancy's room or you get the hot mom. One way or another, you're in somebody's window.
Oh, okay, but that's actually
and Dad obviously doesn't care.
Right.
Dad's out to lunch.
Well, we find out later on in the next seasons that she's wildly open to that. But
really,
moving.
I can't wait. I don't remember that. Okay.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember anything.
Billy, and we'll get into it.
Billy!
Oh, Billy!
Anyway, moving on.
Oh, talk about him.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so what got me with the whole like, is this real thing? Were the bullies at the school.
Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Step right up and get your tickets for the freak show.
Told you a million times, my teeth are coming in.
And I remember making a TikTok video on this before because the bully later on in like season 3, 4, and they're at the skating ring thing, and the bullies are like extra to the point I'm like, I'm not buying that. I've never experienced it myself, and maybe it's real. Maybe they are, but it was obnoxious.
Write a good bully though. I mean,
I don't think they can.
Well-written bully.
I mean, these kids are like, they just roll up.
Right.
They just stand there and like, oh, what does
Gotta take
Johnny
it.
have to say? Go ahead,
Yep.
Johnny. Dish out
Push
your lines.
me down. Yep. Trip me as I walk away.
It's just,
I think there's a lot of those cliches, and definitely in this first episode, that you're just like, okay, these are the kids that get bullied. Here are the
Right.
bullies.
But I think that's intentional because they really are trying to make this authentically. And that's one of the first things I noticed about this show the first time around that I watched it was how authentically it felt like an 80s movie. And so I think
but were they being bullied like that in the 80s?
I don't think it matters. I think that it needs to line up with the 80s movies you've seen prior because it gives you that feeling of nostalgia right out of the gate. That's part of
I
what
wrote down
like
this is
it.
definitely the 1980s
That's
for a
what
lot
I'm
of
saying.
reasons.
Like,
Well, so I agree with you that that's probably what they're thinking is like, oh, well, this is what we know about 80s movies and whatnot. I don't like it because of the fact that, okay, but don't just give me what all the other
didn't
80s
need
movies
to-
get. If
Yeah.
this didn't happen, or if you have a better way of writing bullies, do it because this is poor.
But
all
the
the other
story-
movies did it, sure, but they suck too.
But the story is so good. It's like you're gonna love the show regardless.
Yeah, the
So
bullies.
this piece is what like hits that nostalgia.
Oh, but we needed this. Yeah, I think the bullies come back later, right? So
Yeah, well, and even if they don't,
it could have been any bully, but yeah.
I mean, I guess the idea of being like, hey, by the way, these are losers. But I mean, when they get all excited about the CB radio,
When
I
they
mean,
were playing Dungeons and Dragons in
or the
opening
ham radio.
scene, we were picking up
Well,
on
right.
what's being put
So you don't
down.
Yeah,
to
anybody that
emphasize-
plays that, you're already suspicious of.
Yeah, yikes.
What
I don't know about when I don't know if it's weird to you guys, but the chef when 11 rolls up and is eating the fries in his kitchen, right? And he loses his mind and he's yelling and he catches her and but then next thing you know, he's sitting down with her at
he's
table.
being nice, and he's like,
I'm
"Oh,
okay, but wait a minute though. A child just rolled into your restaurant in a hospital gown, and you're just gonna make her a burger and be like, "So what's going on with you?" Wait a minute, call the cops.
I wrote down, why did he call Child Protection Services or Human Services? Why didn't he call the police?
Right. They don't got much to do. Call the police. Hey, by
I
the
thought
way,
that was weird.
I just found
But
a
I felt
child.
like, as we see the double agent comes in later, if he had called the police, it would have been Hopper, one of the two guys. So they had no way of having the lady who shows up, and she's not really the human health and human services, whatever. I guess that's the only reason. But why? Yeah, why would you not be calling the police?
If it helps the plot, obviously it's convenient. But I'm arguing the fact that, like, okay, who is really going to find a child in the restaurant and be like, all right, before I call 911, let me sit down, and you're obviously hungry, and let me get some info out of you. You're treated like a dog.
Later,
It would be nice to her.
You
Real
can,
quick,
but
did y'all know it was a girl? If you were watching this for the first time, I'm honest. The
No, I'm
first
trying to remember.
2 or 3 episodes, I still
mean-
thought it was a boy.
she's so young. I mean, she's
Well,
at the
wait.
point where
wait,
And
you
he
thought it
calls
was a
her girl,
boy
bro.
even though they say it's a girl? You just didn't believe it. You're like, no, it's definitely a boy. I'm not
I
buying
actually
it.
thought it was gonna be a weird plot twist. Oh, it's not a girl, it's a boy, something like that.
Mhm.
I would feel
Yeah.
like a double down, like, oh, they mistakenly make it think it's a boy, but then they're like, oh no, it's a girl. Oh no, it really was a boy. That's extra.
And we see her cut the fan off, whatever, with her mind early. I don't remember that either.
yeah,
Like while she's sitting in there, and that's how we, obviously we know something's up with her.
but I just when he calls the cops to go back to the chef or whoever he calls, assuming it's
Human Services, Child
yeah.
Protection. Yeah.
He's like he's like, yeah, I don't know, shouldn't have a collar, just a stray, I don't know, yeah, it'd be great if someone would come by. That'd be awesome. Yeah, obviously that's the only reason I'm calling.
Later on, it's referenced that Benny is the chef's name, and he and Hopper are friends. He, like Hopper says, he's like, that's my friend. So it's also interesting that he wouldn't just jump on the plane with his buddy and be like, dude, you got to come down here. There's a kid sitting in my
I
kitchen.
think you might be a few episodes ahead though. I don't know. I don't think Hopper knows yet in episode 1.
Well, I'm just
But okay,
Homework.
yeah. Fair enough.
Hey, hang on, super fast.
Go for it.
I don't remember the and actually, I mean, I guess there's undertones throughout all the seasons, but I don't remember the early reference to, Joyce was talking about how Will's getting picked on, and
Yeah.
they question his sexuality and that kind of stuff.
They call him gay.
I
And he's like, is he?
right. I thought that was a little weird. I know that was the 80s and that was very different back then.
But he's a child, so it's just a weird question to ask.
Yeah,
Call him
I
gay.
thought it was very strange. It was
Say he's
very
gay. Well, is he gay? I mean, maybe they're right. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. That was
just
a bit
odd to me. I didn't want to let that.
I think
slip
that's the
past,
80s
but-
thing, maybe. Like, obviously, that was a lot different in the 80s than it is now.
Right.
I would not dare ask now. Well, they call him gay. Okay.
But
Say less. Got it.
But I wouldn't also ask someone if their 11-year-old kid was heterosexual either. I wouldn't ask about a kid's sexuality, period, because that's weird.
Well, and he knows
Yeah.
he's lived through that time period where gay is just an insult, and so he knows that that's how it's used, and so it's not like I don't know. Yeah,
He's a little rough around the edges.
he is.
He is.
He's
You got
just-
a lot of work to do, Sean.
I mean,
he's
what is he? I don't know.
rough around
I don't know that
the
I have
edges.
it in me. I don't.
Yeah, I feel like with Mike's mom, it's teed up. I mean, she's already looking for a way out.
You're the one who's got to step up.
I can't wait till we get to that season with Billy, and because
Oh,
I'm telling you, immediately she's like, "This is it."
I forgot it
I'm
was
outta
her.
here.
I
Yeah.
forgot it was her until you said
But
that.
it was at the
I
very.
did till this very moment. See, now y'all are spoiling.
We're not supposed to talk about it, but it was the very like the end of season 2, I think it was, and he rolls up to her house, and you get this like idea of, oh, she's into this. I remember it because I was in college with my roommate Ricky, and we adored Mike's mom. And
Wow.
we're like, you know what? Yes, Billy, go for it, because this dude has got nothing.
Give her what she's looking for. Dad's not getting it done.
Would you?
When did they
Okay.
watch Poltergeist? Sorry. When they talk about watching Poltergeist. I can't remember who it was that even watched it. And somebody's like, "No, that'll give you nightmares."
Oh, that was a flashback of Joyce was in Will's little hideout.
That's right.
Oh,
So
that scene wrecked me. By the way, I can't. Anyway,
the movie Poltergeist?
Yeah.
no.
No, I'm just saying the movie Poltergeist. I probably watched it around that time frame. It was probably
When
a few
you were
years
that
after
old?
that. But oh my gosh, that movie! I can watch it now, but that movie terrorized me. There's a few things in there.
It.
Was that your first scary movie?
Yeah, I think so. And I was like, I shouldn't be watching this. We were at somebody else's house, and I'm like, okay, I know Mom and Daddy would not be okay with me
yourself
watching
consequences
this.
after that.
You were that kid that's like,
And I'm like,
I'm-
I don't need to be watching this.
I'm
And
grounded
I'm
right now.
trying to pretend like I'm doing other stuff because I was scared. Not only because I was watching, but also the movie was scaring me. So
when you're with your friends, you got to act not scared,
I know, and I'm like, but I am.
which adds a layer of intensity and
I was
anxiety.
pretending to be a person. So that's 2 movies now, Scott. You need to watch.
Noted.
Well, so you can give a
Poltergeist.
great in the original
Poltergeist
Poltergeist.
for sure.
Oh, you don't like scary movies?
I don't.
This
I have
one's
no
gonna
reason
kill
to
you.
watch them. I've seen a few, and actually, I just was talking to somebody from work the other day. Did you know? And this was way off topic, but did you know that 90%, that I'm making that number up, the majority of scary
More than
movie
half.
jump scares happen from the right side of the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's where you expect action to happen.
It's not
Or
what
you don't expect.
because your
yeah.
eyes read
You're
left to right.
But see, I'm left-handed, so I'm right to left.
Ah.
You
And
don't
so I
read
never
right to left.
I never jump scare. It's
Because
amazing.
I'm left-handed.
It's amazing.
Man. So it was fine that
I
you were
view the
watching
world
that.
through a different lens
It's ridiculous.
because of my left-handedness.
Would you rather be lost, like be the person like be Will, or be one of the friends that lost him? This feels like a one-sided thing, but if it were like obviously for a kid, I feel like you would say, well, I would rather it be me than my child. That's a different level of fear. I don't know. I don't have a kid, so
Oh, I'd rather be the person lost because I would at least
I
being the
mean,
person that's not lost, you got so many questions and it's so many unanswered.
it's like an annoyance.
Yeah.
Gosh, so many questions. I just don't know.
But
Ugh.
if you are the one lost, I mean, you at least know what the
I
situation
don't want to
is.
solve this right now.
I don't have time for this.
There's a bloody handprint on the couch. Does anyone know? I don't want to do this.
yeah, because see, I'm going friend. I don't want to be Will in the upside down and the Demogorgon. No, thank you.
Yeah, knowing what he's going through, maybe it's
Yeah, I
like,
think like
ugh.
you
Does
said,
it turn out to be that bad? I don't. I mean,
seems
we don't
pretty
know.
bad. Seems pretty bad.
Turns out bad for someone else, but
Hmm.
we'll talk
I don't
about her
remember.
later.
Can't wait.
Barb makes me feel like a bad person.
I got a little bit annoyed so as they start searching, by the way, I kept waiting for the point in the show where it's like, why are y'all just sitting around? Y'all aren't out looking. Like, I felt like they did a good job of always be looking like, hey, this is still pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
There was a period of time when they're in there writing out the signs, but she was on the phone trying to get people. But I was a little, when they go and find and look at Castle Byers, the little
Yeah.
thing he's built out in the woods, I was thinking, hey, we're like 12 hours into this thing. I feel like you probably should have already looked at
Yeah,
that.
It
Now,
did sort of
They
occur
could
to
have
her.
looked at it once
I think
earlier, and she's just going back.
It occurred to her later. It occurred to her later, though, which is interesting
Yeah,
because
Now-
you know where your kid likes to hang out.
right. That's a cool little fort, though, right?
Oh God.
Like,
It's awesome.
shows and movies always have the coolest forts.
Yeah, I totally
But
hang out there all the time.
Oh,
In the woods, maybe. I'm a little nervous, but
not a woods guy?
well, at that age,
Especially when there's
Oh,
Demogorgons.
heck yeah, are you kidding?
Demogorgons out and about.
yeah,
The
I'd
woods
be
was
like,
where it's at when you're a kid. No parents. You're just out there. My
How-
siblings and I used to we had a game we played called Orphan Kids.
Oh my
Orphan
gosh.
kids?
We did.
I love
We
to see
wanted
the rules of that game. Jeez.
What is
Different-
this?
Oh, it was epic. We loved it. It always started in our unfinished basement, and it always ended with us in the woods with our dog, who was a wolf in that scenario.
What is the
It was a
objective of the
survival
Wow.
game. It was a survival game. So
What's
What are you
walk
surviving?
through it? What's the game?
Oh, you have no parents.
we were orphans, and we were thugging it out in the woods. We played it all the time. We would build forts and
So you would pretend you're orphans.
yeah. We wanted to be orphans so bad.
Wow.
We are
was
so
Man,
rich
It was our
and
lore.
have everything we need and all this food.
we're gonna pretend
This
that we
sucks.
don't.
Dude, I'm telling you, we were in the woods all the time.
Man, do your parents know that you wanted to be orphans so much that
They
you played
sure
a
did.
game
They
called
sure did.
Orphan?
Listen, there were so many of us. I'm the oldest of 6. My mom was like, get out.
Oh,
Get out of this
yeah.
house.
I mean,
Go
we
outside.
played in the
Be
woods,
orphans if you need to be. Go somewhere.
but
There's
I don't know
of
if we
us.
pretended that like this is our life. We have no parents now.
We sure did.
That's
We had some very cool forts.
well, okay. Not to step away from that, but that reminds me. Speaking of the woods, Hopper finds his bike, and I think you mentioned this to me before. Hopper finds his bike on the side of the road, and what does he say? He's like, well, he wouldn't just leave this. This thing is like a Cadillac to these kids. Okay, why did he leave it? Was he that scared?
Right. Or the other thing I'm thinking is, I thought as soon as he found it, well, two things. One dumb thing, but one serious. The dumb thing is, I don't remember cool headlight lamp things for bikes back then.
I was going to ask about that. That was high tech.
I mean, I'm obviously it's battery powered,
Well,
but
also
anyway,
he's
I
a
was a little
dork,
mad because
so-
I'm like, why didn't I have one of those?
How did I not get in on that?
Yeah.
He was a nerd.
For the record,
so
I was
maybe
I was not riding a bike in 1983. I think
What
I
were
was,
you doing in 1983?
I mean, I was crawling around. Not really. I was walking, but
well,
I wasn't riding a bike. But I was a little upset that I didn't know about these headlamps. The other thing was, how did he know that was Will's bike?
Bike like this, like a Cadillac to these kids, would have walked it home.
I feel like that's a.
I guess it was.
Oh,
I
we
just
found a
didn't like
bike.
this. Like, bang, here we go. I guess maybe it was.
I think-
they had talked
It was
about it.
towards that. Well, because the Byers, they lived a little off the beaten. They weren't in the burbs. They were,
They were in the trailer park.
Yep.
Poor
They were
kids.
so it
Okay.
was
Yeah.
headed towards his house.
All right. Well, I don't have
Man,
as
so
much.
how did he
issue
have
with it
that
now.
nice of a bike?
Right.
That was
It's
a big
Cadillac.
Christmas present.
Yeah, maybe Joyce and Jonathan worked those extra shifts.
But I think
and-
Hopper definitely was like, all right, there's a kid missing. Here's a bike. I'll put one and two together myself. He goes really hard on the detective mode, though. Like, he kicks into gear.
because he was
Mr.
a big city,
Investigator
he was
here.
a big city cop before he came to Tiny Town, USA.
And I think
Was he?
there's a part of me that's thinking, man, I'd love to do a good job for Joyce.
I don't
If
think
you know what I
we're
mean.
there yet.
Love Joyce. I'm Team Joyce.
I don't think we're there yet.
absolutely.
And Winona Ryder's an icon.
I've totally got a
She's
thing
an
for
icon.
Joyce.
Well, I don't think we're there yet with him because he was when she was telling him in the station, "Hey, this is what's going on." And he's like, 90% of the time, 99 out of 100 times, he's with the other parent. Like, it's not a big deal. You need to relax. Your kid's gone. Oh, whoopie doo.
They
There
were
was-
kind
there
of
was 1%
annoying
of
with
him
that,
that-
though. They were
that-
annoying with that. The whole call the dad thing, the deadbeat absent
Ooh.
dad who's like
It's the 80s, though, you know?
a million miles away, and now all of a sudden, like this man's been involved in nothing. and
Lonnie.
All of a sudden, Lonnie, effing Lonnie.
Man,
Do we eventually see Lonnie?
I don't know.
We get a little more Lonnie.
We do, but I
think.
don't think I'm allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not yet.
We don't.
Oh, yeah, I think a piece of Hopper was like, oh, Joyce, I haven't seen you in a while.
So you
Right.
got
I mean, not that they have a thing, but, you know,
your
he's...
ex-husband, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
Let
help you
me
find your
I
kid.
think I will go look for old Will.
I'll do my job.
Yeah. Probably have some late
taxpayers
nights in
paying
the
you,
woods
yeah.
with Joyce.
Who knows? Hey, I think he might be over here. Me and Joyce will go look.
Yeah. We
The
need to
rest of
build
you
a
walk the
campfire
other
over
way.
here.
Yeah. It's going
Get
to
some
take a while.
slit malt liquor out here.
He's
was
got
his-
plenty
He's
in
a
his house.
grieving
of choice.
woman. A
I don't-
grieving woman with a missing child.
I don't think he would.
What an opportune time.
I think he'd
Right?
be like,
It's a
listen,
cliche in movies, though. You're like, y'all do not have time to be doing that. You're chasing a murderer,
Yeah.
whatever
There's
they're
a
doing.
whole entire situation happening.
there are Demogorgons out here, and we know those
And you're
because those
trying
are
to hide
real.
it.
Those are real things. It's just
We didn't just make
coincidence
that name up.
that those kids were also talking about in their game, but they're totally real.
Oh, can y'all think of the guy who's? I meant to Google it. The guy who plays the main the white haired dude from the lab.
Oh, Papa is
Yeah.
what-
Well,
Hello?
what's the actor's name? You know that's Matthew Modine.
Okay.
He he's a little bit jarring when he first comes on screen. At least it is for me, because I'm like, I know that guy from like 10 different movies, and he's just a little bit like he's in Full Metal Jacket. That was a long time ago, but I remember thinking that's jarring. It's something about him. It just caught me off guard. It took me out. Like I couldn't quit thinking about the actor. It's funny
They
that
cast
didn't happen.
him really
with
well,
Nana.
though.
Yeah,
They
no, he's
cast him
good.
really well.
He's good. Papa. She ain't called him Papa
Papa.
yet.
Yeah,
Spoiler
I've
alert.
never seen him in anything else.
Matthew Modine. Yeah,
but
look
he
him
seems
up.
old, so maybe that's why. Maybe it
I don't know what
older
that's supposed to
movies.
mean.
I mean, well,
I mean, his hair is white.
for those
That's your
listening,
third.
I mean,
That's your third movie to watch. Full Metal Jacket.
for those listening, you got a little bit of gray on your beard, so just for context.
Wow.
Is that by design? Touch of gray.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. It looks good on you.
Looks good in the 80s.
Too bad it's the, what do they say? That's a classic, like, dads, they get trapped in one time period, and then that's just how they dress for the rest of their life.
Not me.
Oh,
Not
2000. Boom. That's
Yeah.
it for the rest of your life.
The New Balance shoes for sure.
Yeah. Oh, man. My old
shoes.
Oh,
bot. one other.
Go ahead.
Me?
I was just going to say, yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say my old boss did that.
You said go ahead, but
go ahead.
Continue.
Yeah, it was just
one other movie, TV trope, but they have no way of getting around this.
Yeah.
I can't stand when we see a 555 phone number. It drives me crazy. It's just such a off-putting, like, ugh. Okay, I know you can't show real numbers up here.
Immediately fake.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Whew. Yeah. You almost scared me there. Don't ever put real phone numbers in your screenplays.
Sure. Okay.
It's always jarring.
Well,
and then
I'm thinking, the script. I mean, nobody's gonna...
Man, the prop guy had to go through a lot of trouble to make this fake newspaper article, but to put in 555 numbers in it,
ruined the whole thing.
Anyway, discredited everything else.
It just takes me out of the. Just don't show me the phone number. You don't need to show it.
I think that's fair, actually. That's a fair assessment.
And when they show them typing in numbers on a phone, if they show it long enough, they have to be pushing 555. It drives me crazy. Anyway, for any screenwriters out there,
don't do it.
We're giving great feedback. Number. Just don't do the things that we don't like, and it'll be good.
What would you do instead?
Could you do like 1, 2, 3, 4?
Is that
you don't have to show the whole phone number? Just
show part of it. But then it's like, you can't show us.
Or just show them flipping through a book and they're sliding their hand down and they're looking for a phone number. I don't know. What would you do?
Just give them your phone number and just assume no one cares that much to call it.
Let your phone number be the universal.
How many people are actually stopping to call it?
Oh, I mean,
people watching. How many of them are like?
Oh, I think it happened a ton.
Oh, yeah,
and that's why they had to change it.
Back in the day.
Oh yeah,
that's the first thing you would do.
Let me just dial that number.
Let me call this number.
Yeah.
Listen, prank calls were a big deal. They were a lifestyle back in the day.
That's what they were doing when they were playing Orphan.
All right. Well, to move on here, we've got horoscopes with Shauna. Shauna's going to give us her understanding of what the horoscopes of all these characters are in the first episode.
This was
we should put up a poll that says horoscopes, fake or real.
No. That's
It'd
not
be interesting to see
discussion here.
Just see where people are at,
Yeah.
But then you've got to use the correct terminology. It's not just horoscopes; it's astrology, my friends.
Oh, my apologies.
Mm-hmm.
This is a zodiac sign, right? That's what that is.
Correct.
All the same.
Correct.
Okay. Same umbrella.
This is an intimidating assignment, however, because there's a real demographic for this conversation, and there's a lot of deep dives that have been done many times over. Not only for these characters, but characters across the board, right? People take these assessments very seriously.
Well, to your defense, I mean, it's the first episode. And what were we doing the other day? We were talking about Echoes the other day, and you were very on the nose about, I don't like her. She's doing this. And
she's
then
definitely
like a few lines later, it was like, she's just trying to defend. Okay, that's cool. So it's very like, I mean, once you learn more, you're like, that's completely different than what I thought. But that's kind of the point of the film, right? So
that's also how it works in my head.
Perfect. Well, go for it then. We're not judging you, obviously.
No. Internally, maybe, but not out loud.
Right. I was going to say, what do you mean?
If you get them wrong, we would have no idea.
And that's the thing, though. I don't know that it's necessarily, I don't know if you can say it's right or wrong based just off the characters. You could off the actors, but I don't know that we go over birth dates for everybody in the show.
Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely don't know based on the birthday. It's just like, so
that's the fun and the speculation is you're going purely off personality traits and characteristics.
That's where it's proven, though, right? If you knew the birthday, you'd easily say, that's this because...
Careful.
But it's one of those like, all right, well, now you got to step up to the plate,
Right, this is based off of your...
But to be fair, I don't know that we ever find out what the birthdays are.
I was going to say, if we ever do come across a birthday, we need to make note of that.
We got to keep an eye out.
And see if these horoscopes are accurate.
No, if you Google it, there's plenty of people that have offered up their assessment, but
Oof.
for factual
Okay.
zodiac signs, it's just
Well, for
Whoa.
this case, go ahead. What do you?
all right. So I just did the main cast that we're introduced to in the first episode. Mike, for starters. I immediately said Aries. He's a fire sign. He's the leader. Listen, I can't talk to
I'm
y'all.
sorry. No, you can't. The thing is, when you say Aries, like I have no concept.
Right,
what that
right.
even
I'm
means.
like, okay.
Okay, interesting.
Sounds right.
Maybe we'll learn though. Go ahead, Aries.
Okay.
So like leader, you were
So an Aries. So you've got. I feel like I have to. I feel like y'all need like a breakdown of the zodiac. Like what it.
well, just
So there's
Aries
elements,
because
right?
of
Based
what?
on your zodiac sign, there's different elements.
Mm.
So actually, I know what Scott's zodiac sign is. Charlie, what's yours? Do you know yours?
I
I can
did.
tell you his birthday.
I hope so.
Wait, you know your
You know
sign?
your zodiac sign.
I
It's okay if you
I know what somebody who believes in those
my
things
goodness.
knows
Just say
what
it. Just say
mine.
what
What
your
is
zodiac
it?
I'm a Leo. I'm a Leo.
You're a Leo. Nice. Okay.
Does
Okay.
that seem like him?
Is that right?
I don't know. I don't know that I know enough about your like day-to-day interactions to
That's true.
speculate.
Wait, let's do this. What is a Leo? And then I'll tell you if it's accurate.
Okay, so
Give me a brief summary.
a Leo is a fire sign. Now my sister's a Leo. She will not be told. She will not be told. She's very much herself. She's going to do her thing. She has a strong personality.
Mm.
The Leo is associated with a lion, so they're very courageous, deeply convicted. They have convictions they stand by.
Can I just say this is, and not to
Wow.
for the sake of
Easy. Careful.
hating on astrology or whatever, but that is not Chuck. Chuck is, he will go with whatever. You challenge him on something and he'll just roll over. You know what? That's fine.
Maybe maybe
It's not a
that deep.
rollover. It's a okay, whatever.
It's not
I know
worth my
what's
time.
right. Yeah.
But it's not about all the things. It's about what you care about.
Oh, fair
Sometimes
enough.
people let stuff go because they just don't care. It's not that deep to them.
Yes, guys.
It's about the things you care about.
All right. Fair enough.
Hashtag Leo.
Okay. So Mike is an Aries. He's
I'm
a leader.
going Aries. He's a fire sign.
Okay. When you say fire sign, is that part of it?
Yes.
But-
An Aries
but
is a
it's like
fire.
part of the
Also,
Dungeons and
Leo is
Dragons
fire
lore.
sign. What does the fire have to do with it?
It's the element been assigned to that.
But is there any like context to
Oh.
it? Does it add anything?
Oh, absolutely. So fire signs are very strong, passionate. Aries,
Okay.
Aries in particular, prone to a little bit of a temper.
Okay. That seems like Mike. All right.
So,
Okay. Mike is an Aries.
that's what I went with. Yes,
From what we know from episode 1.
from episode 1.
We'll regroup.
Yeah, we'll reassess.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
It could
So
change,
next.
but he's the leader of the pack in the meantime. Will is a Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. So, very emotional.
Yeah.
Will was a sensitive little
He
dude.
is a little
All up in his feels.
yeah.
We don't necessarily see this in episode 1 with his character, but Cancers do tend to be a little bit in the realm of self-pity. And they just tend to be a little squishy on the inside.
He seems to be
Aw.
wallowing in
Oh.
something.
Yeah, there's just a little, and listen, a lot of people I know and love in my life are Cancers, but they're pretty consistent with some of that. So that was my assessment for him. Dustin, I went with Gemini, which is an air sign.
Hmm.
He is definitely, I mean, he's not the class clown necessarily, but he's very social.
Mm.
Everyone else is very rigid.
Mm.
Air
Everybody loves
signs,
Dustin.
he's great. I do.
He's not embarrassed by anything.
Right.
Air signs are built a little different. And
He's
so
built a little different.
he's built a little
But
different.
it's not his fault. He says teeth are still coming in.
Right. They're
That's
still coming
not-
in.
Exactly.
Still coming in.
But he's a little, he's a little different from the rest of the group, and he's a little more fluid and a little more detached and kind of in his own world. So I went with.
He's
You
living his
might
best
say he's the
life.
kind of guy that would meet a girl online. Hint, hint. Spoiler alert.
Mm, mm.
I mean, there is no online, but okay. You might have
Go
nailed
ahead.
that one.
Maybe. Lucas. I like Lucas. I just want to say that. I like Lucas. I went with Scorpio for him. Scorpios are, shoot, I think they're earth signs. Maybe they're fire. I can't remember now. Scorpios are very skeptical people. And
I'm a Scorpio in this moment. I'm skeptical about your.
Hmm.
if you,
I
Didn't
was
know
thinking
he's
I'm
an
a
earth sign.
Scorpio.
you can do better.
Wow. You better
You
be
can take
careful.
over. You
Go
take
ahead.
over.
Go ahead. He's a
Tippy-toe,
Scorpio.
tippy-
I went with Scorpio.
What is Earth sign?
Earth sign? You're an earth sign.
They're very grounded.
Yeah.
Is that right? Or is he just said that as like a whatever?
No, actually, yeah, earth signs are. They're very rigid is one word you could use.
Okay.
But they're Scorpios specifically, they're very passionate, but they're also very skeptical and they're very independent.
Okay.
And so that's what I gave to Lucas
That's fair.
because my man, he had questions. He was buying none of it. 11, I assigned her Pisces, which is a water sign, so much like Cancer, a little bit in their feels. Pisces, they get in their heads. 11 was obviously very much in her head.
That seems fair.
They're also very intuitive and very creative.
Oh.
Okay.
I see.
So we went Pisces.
Well, I think she's a lab experiment. So,
Right. She's basically Rocket the Raccoon.
but that's a pretty fair.
Oh, that felt harsh.
so rough.
But we love Rocket, right?
Wait, he's
I mean,
great.
we love him. He'll make you cry. Don't make me cry. It's only
Um,
episode 2, 1.
okay. Keep going.
Episode 1 made me cry. Steve. I
Ugh.
gave Steve a Leo.
Steve is awesome.
I gave
Okay.
Steve a Leo. I sure did. Fire sign.
Wait. I'm okay.
Well, you wanted
Go
to be
ahead.
Steve, but it
I
turns
really
out
do.
I'm
All right,
him.
whatever. That's
I
fine.
am him.
Okay.
Confident, ambitious.
Mm.
Uh,
That doesn't sound like Charlie at all.
Tracking.
All right, go ahead.
tell me how it's not. Don't be rude.
I can tell you how it's not Charlie. Go ahead.
And then for Jonathan,
Aw.
yeah, I gave him Pisces as well.
Okay.
Little in his feels, very creative, little sensitive.
That seems fair.
Romantic. Pisces can be very romantic. And so, he was down bad
Oh.
for Homegirl. And
Yeah, I can't wait till we get to episode 2 and 3. We can really dive into Jonathan's
Jonathan's got stuff.
wonderful traits.
I'm gonna say it though. I'm a fan. I like Jonathan.
Oh, he's great.
I
He's a little bit like,
have empathy for him. I have empathy for Jonathan.
Right. I mean, all the odds are stacked against Jonathan.
Yeah.
Like he's.
oh yeah.
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 But is he kind of like helping the odds continue to be stacked against him? I mean,
Well, yeah. I mean, he could take.
Maybe he knows it works to his advantage.
he's playing to his ignorance.
Mhm.
Okay.
Hopper.
Mhm.
I went with a Taurus.
Definitely.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Charlie
Right.
gets it.
You can just see it.
He is an earth sign. So he's a little rigid, a little stoic, very stubborn, which is the signature move of a Taurus. Very stubborn.
That sounds like Hopper.
Mm-hmm. That's why.
Which is funny because you could be making all this up and I have no idea, but it sounds
Could
like
be.
you're nailing it.
Right.
Which I believe you. This is great. Keep going.
I had 2 more. No, I had 3. Nancy.
Okay.
I gave her Virgo.
Wow.
Okay.
I gave her Virgo. She was a very structured person. She had a plan in her head, and by God, we're going to follow this plan. We're going to study, okay? We're not going to make out. We're going to study.
Okay.
So, right.
Yeah.
I can get down with it. For those listening, I am a Virgo.
And female and male Virgos are somewhat different.
Very.
They
I like Nancy.
They
It's
have
cool. I mean, it's
similarities.
fine that Charlie got Steve and I got Nancy. Whatever.
well,
Fine.
I didn't think that hard about it at the time. I was
Sure,
based
sure.
off the character.
Right. It's just an immediate reaction. What do you think? And that's what you went with.
But no, I love female Virgos. I'm friends with several. They're really great, but they are very structured and they've got a plan. They've got an idea, and we're gonna stick to it.
Like me.
And finally, my girl Joyce.
Oof.
She is an Aquarius. She's an air sign. She's the only character that I did a little Googling to see what the rest of the world thought. Because I was just genuinely curious. The reason that I went with Aquarius for her is that of all the signs in the zodiac, and Aquarius is the only one weird enough and outside the box enough to believe anything was going on beyond what meets the eye.
Oh.
Oh. Okay. I think
That
we'll definitely
nails
be
her.
leaning into that later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the lights. Trust me. It's happening.
Nope.
The lights are going crazy.
If there was a zodiac, so I'm going to say this too. I'm an Aquarius. This would not be a hard sell for me, in terms of her being like, no, but for real.
Okay, but so let me ask then, not to get into episode 2 and 3 and 4 or whatever, but if you were sitting there and the lights were moving and turned on crazy, would you be like, that's my son?
It wouldn't take me long to get there, no.
Because
I also...
Well, but the phone call had happened.
Right. There were contact
And so
clues.
she
It's
felt
not
like there's some contact going on here. Like,
right.
that was definitely Will breathing on the phone or whatever.
that doesn't lead you to anything supernatural, though. But
later, yeah.
okay,
right.
That's true.
All right.
But she, yeah. And so she's...
Except the power was out.
What?
Wasn't it? Wasn't the power out when that happened? I don't remember.
The
Anyway,
phone.
yeah. Whatever.
You might be on some.
Yeah.
I know. I don't want to go too far ahead. But yeah, Joyce was...
Okay.
I'm giving her Aquarius.
So for everyone listening, write those down. We'll revisit them in a few episodes and see how we are. Not for the sake of proving you wrong, but just to see, okay, now that you know more about it, do you stand by your original assessment or do you...
Right. Could something be...
I mean, you only know a little bit about him, but that's the point of movies. Now we're introducing this part of him. Oh, you thought he was bad? He was really just doing it because he felt bad for these people. Oh, he's a softie.
Yeah.
So we find out.
You never can tell with the horoscopes. I mean, they're hit and miss, right?
Well, it has more to do with your
Tread lightly.
internal wiring. But that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. Moving on. I think we have... That was awesome, by the way. Great job. I think we have a diary entry.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, Scott, because I happen to have grabbed a page out of the diary of Hopper himself.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. He writes a diary.
Did he write about me? Did he mention?
Well,
did he say anything?
I have not looked at future entries in the diary.
Out of all the characters,
it could be. You're surprised, aren't you?
Surprised that he's the one that keeps a diary. Maybe
I was too.
Haven't found
I was too.
Okay.
When the National Archives told me they had it, I'm like,
they told you. They were like, hey, by the way,
they did. They reached out.
Okay.
They heard what we were doing here, the Three Amigos, and they're like, you would love to read this diary.
We have some intel for you.
Just happens to be from November the 4th, 1983. So 2 days prior to the disappearance of Will Byers.
Interesting. Okay.
November 4th, 1983. He starts out, Dear Diary. Classic. I mean, Hopper is like all over.
He's a romantic.
Right?
I can see him laying on his bed, on his stomach, kicking his feet. Dear Diary. Today I saw the most beautiful girl ever. Go ahead. Not instead of standard or anything. Go ahead.
Dear Diary. Hop Man here.
No.
That's a little weird. He calls himself Hop Man. I don't know what I mean. I'm just reading it.
He might have been a couple beers deep at this point.
Well,
Hop Man here. What's happening?
Hop Man here. But
Oh,
guess I
man.
need to give up on that nickname. Everyone just wants to call me Hopper now. So I don't know
So
if he'll
he was
continue to call
testing
me.
the waters on
Right. I
Hawkman.
think
It
he's
didn't
like,
stick.
let me see if this works out. Everybody just wants to call me Hopper now, especially at work. Speaking of work, my brand new Chevy Blazer is awesome. I don't know if y'all happen to see that roll up at Hawkins police station, but
Nice.
it was actually nice. So I'm glad he referenced it here. Shout out to the Hawkins taxpayers because it wasn't cheap. Flo hates it. She says it's a waste of money. Flo, I don't
Flo
know.
might be onto something.
Right.
I was going to say, nobody asked you, Flo.
Out of context, Charlie knows a little bit about city money and vehicles, but
Oh, I think I've actually heard a little bit about this.
go ahead. Sorry.
So moving on, he says weight loss is going well.
Even with all that beer.
Folks say it's the cigarettes though. So
like
I'm a little worried.
Fair.
He's like,
Fair.
I gotta smoke to, whatever.
It's like going to the gym so
Figure it
that
out.
you can eat whatever you want.
Right. And it's the 80s. I mean, when did the whole, hey, these things are terrible for you?
Yeah, we weren't stressing
Right.
cigarettes in the 80s.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It was cool.
Gets a little weird at this point. I don't know, not as interesting, but looking forward to the upcoming college basketball season. I guess, he says I should be pulling for the Hoosiers, they're in Indiana. But then, back in the 80s it is. So he says, but man, Michael Jordan and North Carolina are looking strong again. They won a national championship in 1982. Michael Jordan hit like the game-winning shot. But this really caught my eye. I tell you, Jordan, or Jumpman as I would like to call him. What? I mean, he's almost nicknaming Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan was even Michael Jordan. If I had some money saved up, I'd put it all on him becoming the best basketball player in the world. Dude's still playing in college. Maybe he sees something in him. I thought that was pretty impressive.
In spite of his lack of range when it comes to nicknames, he's insightful.
Yeah, it's true. It's a shame
they're spot on.
To be fair, he came pretty close. I mean, Michael Jordan did end up being the second best player of all time
If you say
in
LeBron,
basketball. So
Easy.
I'm just.
So then he wraps it up. Well, gotta go. Gotta run by the store and get some Slit Smart liquor. Just gonna hang out at home tomorrow and watch the Rams and Bears game. Fun fact, the Rams and Bears were playing on November 5th, 1983. Look it up.
So it must be true.
Got my new Jim McMahon jersey. So apparently he's a Bears fan in Indiana. Whatever. But he goes on to say, speaking of the Slit Smart liquor, on my salary, I'm not sure I can afford many more six-packs. $4 doesn't go as far as it used to. $4 for a six-pack of beer.
Inflation.
And then he says, all right, that's all I got. Hop out. So
hop out.
that does feel like
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. November 4th,
I mean, that sounds just like
1983.
him from what we know about him.
Hop man.
Hop
Man. Wow. I love the nickname.
The National Archives have told me there are more. So if
we'll look forward to reading those.
we'll pull up some more if we need to.
Man, that's awesome. Hop man.
Man. I'm gonna make some
Your
t-shirts.
diary.
He's a Bears fan. He thinks Michael Jordan's the best basketball player of all time.
It's great that he got signal back then out in that cabin. He must have had some advanced range with those the antennas.
Yeah. I'm not sure how he's watching that game.
Well, he's
He's near that
quite
lab
the
though, and there's a
location.
lot of weird things
Radioactive.
going on.
He's got quite the
Speaking of,
location.
It was a national lab. I guess they pick weird places to stick.
Oh, that's
They
so
do,
funny.
though.
I thought that, but I
They
thought
do,
maybe
though.
it is just because I thought, all right, we're talking
I
about
mean, the
this really
government
small
does put
town
some
and
weird stuff in weird places in the country. That's
do.
very true. They pick
residents
remote
know about it?
areas. That's what was in my mind was like, do they know this
that
huge
there's like
national
yeah.
energy lab is
They
in
know it's
Hawkins,
there, but do
Indiana.
they know what's really going on?
They
Right.
don't know what's going on.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you for that diary entry. Thank you for the horoscope. That was all awesome. That is episode 1, Stranger Things. We look forward to reviewing episode 2. I don't know how many episodes are in season 1. Maybe our Google guy can bring us that information.
There are 8.
But, 8. Okay. So we
Can I
should fly
say-
through these pretty good.
I forgot they were an hour long too. They're
Yeah,
a
like-
solid hour of viewing.
You get a lot of time to take in a lot of information and let them drag out meaningless exposition pieces. Oh, by the way, these guys are losers. We'll show you that in 3 different ways. Anyway, thank you all for listening. This is episode 1. We'll be back soon with episode 2, Stranger Things. Thank you for Scott Phillips, Sean Fretwell, and Charlie Harcum.
Peace.
Hop out.
So good. So good.
Hop out.